Hello and welcome to Sociology
To
for Life.
Sociological
I am
Life.
Ankita
I'm
Sharma,
Ankita Sharma,
moderator of the segment
moderator of the segment
Sociological Talk
Sociological
and
Talk,
currently
and
a
currently
postgraduate
a board
student
member
in University of Science and
of
Technology,
Science.
Meghalaya, India, and also a researcher and member of Digital Sociology. The channel Sociology for Life is created to provide a platform for understanding sociological perspectives, theories, concepts, and social phenomena. The channel aims to focus on the topic of sociology that is relevant to contemporary societies. Our prime concern is to project the effective presentation of sociology to the audience. We also want to make it a global platform of discussion and debate rather than just a monologue. We will also showcase videos on social issues to provide a clear picture of society and people so that you can understand your life through sociological lens. It is a science that deals with humans' potential of construction and reconstruct society. Therefore, the channel is named Sociology for Life. M. Hasan Laskar, the founder of the channel, has immense interest and zeal for providing right presentation of sociology to the audience. It has 2.65k subscribers. It has total 136 videos on various topics of sociological theories, rural sociology, sociology of gender, industrial sociology, environmental sociology, and sociological concepts. M. Hasan Laskar sir has been working as an assistant professor in the Department of Sociology, University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya, India. He is the founding executive member of the research committee,
Research.
Digital Sociology, Indian Sociological Society. He is associated with the working group of International Sociological Association, Sociology on Local Global Relations. His research areas are digital sociology, social stratification, environmental sociology, social well-being, cultural industry, and consumer culture. He has published several books and journal papers. His one of the recent publication is co-edited book, Sociology of Social Media, published by ABS Book, Delhi, India, 2021. His one of the upcoming publication is on happiness in India in Web of Science Index Journal. Sir is also a regular reviewer of the journal International Sociology. He is the managing editor of Russian journal Scientific Result, Sociology and Management. He is the editor of the blog Sociological Society, even that is sociologicalstudy.blogspot.com. And today we have with us Dr. Rahime Ozgun as our resource person. Ma'am is a research fellow at the University of Anadolu Department of Cinema and Television in Turkey. Her primary research interests are migration, gender, cultural diversity, and otherness in film and media studies. She conducted a research project at Philipps University Marburg Institute of Media Studies in Germany in 2021. She is a producer and director of some short films and speaks Turkish, English, German, and Italian. Kehia received research grants and merit scholarships from diverse institutions such as TAD in Germany, TÜBİTAK, and YOK in Turkey. The topic for today's session is Global Phenomena of Migration in Advanced and Industrial Era, Media Experience of Developed and Developing Societies. Now I would like to hand over the segment to the chair of the discussion, Hasan Laskar sir.
Thank you, Ankita, for wonderful introduction of the channel and the segment. And I also would like to welcome Dr. R. Ozgun in my channel, Sociology for Life, and for this segment, Sociological Talk. So we will have a talk or a discussion on global phenomena of migration in advanced industrial era, media experience in developed and developing society. As you would give a brief introduction of the topic, that advanced industrial society today is the very current phase of the industrialization or very current phase of the industrial development or scientific development. So how we see the migration, as migration is not a new phenomenon. Migration has been going on since the time of the beginning of the industrialization, or even before the industrialization that phenomena began. But today, how the pattern of migration changed, today how the interactions of migrants from developed and developing countries are happening, and how migration and immigration process is changing the geopolitics, economy, culture, and various other aspects. So our issue is that how developed countries is experiencing migration and how developing countries is experiencing migration. And the media experience, that is of course the new media has come today, popular culture in the form of popular culture, social media, and many other new media has come up. So how media affects the migration, or migration regulates the media experiences? So all these issues we will discuss. And now I would like to request Dr. Ozgun to kindly deliver her ideas and thoughts before us. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Laskar, and thank you, Mrs. Sharma, for inviting me and for nicely introducing me. Really, it's a nice opportunity to talk to matters around the globe uh, because migration is a global phenomenon and also it's a local phenomenon. So it is actually local phenomenon nowadays. I'm very happy to make this discussion with you from Turkey, and I think it can give inspirations. These discussions about Turkey and India to see the matters. Yes, I'm mainly studying on film and media area, and of course we are looking for social cultural issues in media and film studies, and I'm mainly focusing on migration, both in Turkey and some other countries, and especially Germany, because there are so many migrant people with migration background from Turkey living in Germany, and really the things are changing very fastly. As you say, it's a kind of comparison between developed and developing countries. Yes, Turkey is a developing country, and Germany is one of the um, um, richest countries in the world. Yes, it is one of the most developed countries in the world. And yes, we can make a comparison and we can look for some similarities and some, of course, different things. Yeah. And first, I want to start with saying Turkey as a receiving country. Turkey was a sending country for a long time after the World War II, mainly to Germany. It was a sending country, but after 2011, Turkey became a receiving country for many refugees because in 2011 Syrian civil war started, and many people start to flee to Turkey, Lebanon, or other neighbor countries. It was yes, Turkey, because we are neighbors, and they had to run away from the war, and it was. Sometimes Turkey was a destination country, and sometimes it's just for transit country to go to European countries to more west, passing the Mediterranean Sea. And this is the case, and there are millions of Syrian people, displaced people living in Turkey, and it was an unplanned migration, and it was not planned. And also there are many Afghan refugees in Turkey after the wars in Afghanistan. And in the media, we have so many reflections and constructions, discourses about displaced people living in Turkey, for example. And of course, there are so many social economical problems in Turkey, and and there are discourses in the media and stating these people, these Syrian people are dangerous and threats for our culture, our society. We see these discourses often, and of course there are also sociological studies, and we also read some facts, and sometimes these facts and the representation of these refugees, disabled people are not same, of course, and these are also dangerous to produce some prejudice and stereotypes. And these are the situations in Turkey in the last decade. And there are so many refugees still, and most of them are poor, living under worse living conditions. Also, of course, there are some people who had bought houses or who had made financial investments in Turkey, yes, but they are very few. And this is the Turkey's situation. And now I want to talk about how Turkey is a Scandinavian country, and Germany, how the situations in Germany. In Germany, after the World War II, Germany needed to be reconstructed, and Germany had money, but not a labor power workforce, and it needed to receive migrants, workers from other countries. At first, from Italy, from Greece, from Spain, and then still there was need. And in 1961, there was a guest worker agreement between German and Turkish government, and many Turkish male workers start to go to work in Germany, but it was a choice. This was a voluntary situation, because those times Turkey was really there was a real unemployment problem in Turkey, and there in the agricultural areas there were more machines, and the agriculture started to be industrialized, and since the technological developments in agriculture and population rise, there were unemployment problems in rural areas, and people needed to work in Germany, for example. Also in Istanbul, in the biggest cities in Turkey, also there was because it was about industrialization, and it was not only emigration to Europe, it was also an internal migration. And actually this is called voluntary migration. I started to think about, is it really voluntarily? Because you just leave your own place, your home, your family, and do you think, is it still a voluntarily migration? I start to think about this nowadays. And of course, forced migration due to war or weather conditions and other conflicts. Yes, this is more for financial reasons to immigrate. Is not 100% voluntarily. I start to think about that. And in Germany, it was. Yes, of course, they were invited, and they were called at the beginning the guest workers. It was just a temporary project in Germany. And for both sides, for Turkish workers and also for German state, this was a temporary project to fit to need of industry in Germany. However, the time passed and the German the employers were very happy with Turkish workers, and the time passed. It took 60 years, and 60 years, the number, it reached most the biggest population in Germany, the Turkish community in Germany, for example. Yes, and they are now in the fourth generations living in Germany. The first generations were guest workers, and their children born and their grandchildren born, and now it's we talk about the fourth generation, and they are not migrants anymore, and we call them. It's a very typical German term. We call them people with migration background, because they are not proper migrants. They have a migration background, yes, because their migration background is from Turkey, for example, and but still there are some problems in media, in society, in films. For example, I'm focusing on the German and Turkish films, how they construct migration phenomenon. And in Turkey nowadays, there are less films produced about Turkish-German migration. In Germany, there are more films also produced by the directors with migration background. And we see still some stereotypes, some cliches in the 60th year of migration. And when I compare the media in Turkey against refugees and media in Germany against refugees, there are some discourses about refugees that they are socially, culturally threats in both countries. And Turkey is not as rich as Germany, and Germany has more powerful state. But this is not only the financial matters. I start to think about that. The hate speech and otherness in many countries are quite similar, and of course they have the local characteristics. But when we see the types of hate speech, for example, and when the people receive them threats, they are quite similar. Because in Lebanon or in Italy, for example, they also host many refugees, and the discourses are quite same. I want to start talk the matters like this. And if you have questions, I will be happy to answer.
Yes, yes, very interesting issues you have raised, as you have mentioned about the media discourse. Okay, how media discourse construct the immigration and migration process. In this context, I would like to ask you one issue, that what is the pattern of migration in like Turkey? Like, is this migration is for work, or it is a forced migration of the refugees?
In Turkey, mainly, we have refugees.
Okay.
More than 95%. We have refugees or displaced people, and because they are not always called refugees for some legal terms. It's a kind of legal term. So because Turkey is a bridge between Europe and Asia. And in Iraq, for example, Iraq is a neighborhood country, and Syria and Iran, for example. In Iraq, there was a war before Syria, and we start to receive Iraqi displaced people, and then the Syrian people are the biggest population in Turkey with refugees, and then Afghan people start to move to Turkey, and the main reason are the conflicts of forced migration.
Okay. Means these displaced refugees are the main immigrants in Turkey, as you are saying,
Yes.
and they are war displaced, like displaced because of war and civil war in the Syria, Iran, Iraq, and all. No?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. And what are the other question? Any other questions, Ankita? You can also put forward. It's
Yeah.
fine.
So, ma'am, my question is, how do you see the impact of advanced technological development on workforce migration across the countries? Right?
Yeah, this is an also interesting question because in the past, in 1950s, for example, European countries mainly needed to receive blue-collar people, workers with unskilled workers, for example. But then nowadays, it's not only Europe, also the United States of America, it's a matter. And for example, highly digitalized people work in these countries, and engineers, for example, there's still a request for them, and this is called in Turkey brain migration. I don't know in India, do you have such usage? We use migration of brains or brain migrations. It means skilled and educated with also doctors, or doctors are very needed in European countries, for example, and other some hardware engineers, for example. And we call them like a migration of brain, not unskilled workers, not physical need, but more talented and more educated people.
Yes, yes. This is a very interesting thing that you have mentioned. Okay, now because of technological advancement, now skill-oriented migration is there. Like those who are engineers, doctors, or software engineers, those who are technically very highly skilled, they tends to move from one country to another country. And from like in case of India, there is a huge issue of brain drain. This is a very current phenomena today in India, that mostly technical graduates or technically skilled people are moving to developed nations like USA, UK, France, Germany. They're moving. And so we can say that the advancement of technology is creating uneven migration pattern, like mostly from developing countries or less developed countries or technologically less developed countries, the people are migrating to the developed countries or technologically developed countries. Like Singapore is a very developed technologically, so a large number of Indians are there working in Singapore, also in Malaysia. In Malaysia's total population, 18% are Indian. So you can now assume and you can understand the situation of this impact of technology or advancement on the migration pattern. So earlier there was one kind of migration, that is the migration of workforce. simply manual laborer used to move from one place to another place, but now this skill oriented, this specialization oriented migration is happening. Also, I would like to also have a questions like, mm, is Turkey pulling migrants from developing countries? Like whether Turkey is attracting migrants or immigrants from other developing countries? Since Turkey is also developing, so whether it is attracting more populations from other countries?
Yes, it's the case because, as you mentioned, for example, also in Turkey, there's a need for doctors or nurses, and for example, from other developing countries like Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan also speaks Turkish,
Okay.
mm, and we receive doctors, for example, health professionals from some developing countries in Turkey, and also for some like domestic labor, like elderly people's care or child care. Turkey also receives some workers, mainly female women caring people from some countries like Russia or Ukraine, like more like a neighbor, like more close country receive some people,
Mm.
but not so much.
Okay. And education related migration is there? Like, is there any students movement in Turkey from other countries? I think these days Turkey is
Uh,
growing academically and scientifically.
yeah. Also, we have some cooperations, and Turkey is a member of Erasmus Plus program, which is a European exchange program, and we receive some students, but these are not so long-term studies. Maybe like 6 months, 1 month, or 2 years. Mainly, it's an exchange program. Also, Turkish students go to mainly to European countries for studies, short term. They are not long-term visits. And also, of course, I observe in our university, for example, there are so many international students. We call them international students, not foreign students. And they study here for longer times, 4 years for bachelor's or for master degrees or even for doctorates. We have international students in Turkey. And this is a kind of globalization, and we make more cooperations.
Yes, digital media and new media has changed the very pattern of this migration. It may be short term or long term, but this movement is there and it's becoming more because of the digitalization and the impact of social media.
Yes, so ma'am, I wanted to know that is the rate of migration of working profession is higher or the student rate is higher in Turkey?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Ma'am, is the working like the rate of migration of working professions is higher than the students who are migrating to Turkey, or the working profession is higher, like the rate of migration?
Which one is higher? She's asking.
Like the working profession migration is higher, or the students who were going there for educational attainment is higher?
Uh, you mean to Turkey as a receiving
Yeah,
country?
yeah,
Yes,
yes.
yes, yes.
From other developing countries.
Okay. Um, as I observe, because I'm talking about recorded data. Of course, in Turkey, there are also unrecorded
Hmm.
workers. not students, but workers, for example, uh, like in other, they are working illegally. I don't know. We cannot know the number of people who are working without papers. But without this site, for example, in Turkey, yes, of course, the largest populations are refugees. Then I don't know the students or other workers, but when we compare to the past, there are more international students studying in Turkey. On the other hand, um, for the domestic workers, I don't know the exact numbers because I'm not a labor sociologist and I don't know the numbers. Yeah, actually, I'm not sure of the numbers, but I can tell that there are also people working without papers among the refugees. They also should be calculated.
Similarly, in India also, there is also issue of immigration, some illegal immigration, some legal immigrations are there, but mostly the educated populations are moving out of India, like moving from India to other developed countries for work, for education. There are large number of Indian students studying in USA, UK, France, Germany, in all the developed and European countries. Yeah, right from the undergraduation to the PhD, postdoctorate, medical engineering, in every field, Indian students are studying. So some kind of similarities there between India and Turkey in the case of migration, I think. So it
Yeah.
was a nice discussion we had, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. I like your questions, and I started to think about other dimensions, and it was a good discussion. I
Yes.
hope you also have some other discussions with other countries, the other academics from other countries. I think this is a good approach and in sorry good approach to start this video
Yes,
YouTube.
definitely. I would also love to have this kind of discussion, and we will explore like some uh, means the people from different countries. As you have participated from Turkey, we can invite from some other countries, and we can have a very lively discussion on different issues. The common issues we can choose where we have all interests, and I think that would be a very great initiative, and that is why I have also like inaugurated, or we can say that introduced this segment, and this is the first lecture of this segment. So
Yeah.
and
Yes.
you
Great.
just started this segment, and we'll continue. We will
Yes.
also have other lectures, and also in future also we will invite you for some other topics.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. I would be very happy to see you again.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us.